From the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Oh, that's a tough one. That is a very, very, very tough one. I don't. Yeah, that's a tricky one. I think I probably want to do something with some of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, because I just like the sci-fi element. That's kind of fun. And it's a totally different environment than what Deadpool is used to, so. Anyone in there, pretty much I'll be happy with. Just a grouped team-up movie. Let's do it. Yeah.
Siguiente pregunta, Televisa Digital, Liliana Carmona. Liliana.
Sí, de este lado.
¿No te vemos?
Hi, Ryan. My question is, which is the biggest challenge in making a superhero movie? Again, you're considered to be family made with acid humor and adult classified.
What is the biggest challenge in making a superhero film with sort of dark humor and that sort of thing?
Yeah. Because we also the Avengers and I don't know, the X-Men, and that is a family movie. The kids can see the movie, and this one, I mean, I can take my nephew to see this one.
Yeah.
And what is the biggest challenge to make this kind of movie?
I think it's, for us it's about this, really, because a boring answer, it's the story, it's all about the story. The kind of rated R part of it and all that stuff is really just, gives us an ability to sort of push the boundaries of the superhero world and see things that we wouldn't normally see, but I guess the biggest challenge is getting stuff past Fox. I mean, that's sort of the hardest hurdle, and tell you the conversations we sometimes get, because, Deadpool's very meta, he breaks the fourth wall, there's stuff in the original script and stuff we actually shot, which we sort of had to take out, mostly because we were mentioning Fox executives by name, which they didn't like. So it's that kind of stuff, really. It's nothing too crazy.
Siguiente pregunta, revista Hola, Sofía Martínez. Sofía.
Hi Ryan, over here.
Hello.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm wondering, as Deadpool you can teleport. So as Ryan, if you could travel in time, to what moment of your life would you go and why? And also, you and Blake are definitely couple goals. What's the secret for a good marriage?
Wow. Well, time travel, for starters, is a big part of our marriage. She likes me to always look 3 months younger than I do, so I go back. No, I don't know if I could travel in time. I would completely waste it. I'm sure I would. It would be like I would travel back to like an hour and a half ago and order something different from room service. I'd blow it. In terms of my family, I don't know. Our secret is. Excuse me, I did have a big lunch. Our secret is nothing crazy. It's just we spend time together. We prioritize our family. We don't usually work at the same time, which is an obscene luxury to have because a lot of people don't have that ability. But our jobs are weird because I might be shooting in Czechoslovakia or the Czech Republic while she's shooting in San Francisco or something. So it can be a little bit challenging. So we don't work at the same time, which is sort of how we do it. It works for us. So. Yeah, you're welcome.
Siguiente pregunta, reporte Índigo, Hidalgo Neira.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
You are messing around with everyone in this movie, with Disney, with DC, with Marvel, with everyone.
Yeah.
But you are forgetting the person of the moment, Donald Trump. Why you are not messing with him? And also, if you can talk about the budget. Thanks.
Yeah. Look, you can make jokes about Donald Trump, but Donald Trump makes the best jokes about Donald Trump. So, it's not. To me, that's not even fun. I don't find that fun or funny or So I think that's kind of like low-hanging fruit. And trust me, Deadpool's fine with low-hanging fruit. But that one I don't think. there's so many crazy things that happen in a 24-hour news cycle. If you're going to commit to a movie that you hope is watched again in 5-10 years, are they really going to remember, the hand-holding thing with the, president of France? I don't know. It just seems sort of silly. But and the budget, the budget is interesting because we don't have the budget that the movies in the MCU have, nor do we have the budget that they use in the DC universe. So, but I think that's good because necessity is the mother of invention. And every time they take something away from us in terms of the budget, we're forced to rely on character as opposed to explosions and plot. And look, Deadpool's never going to be the guy that's trying to save the world. He's you know, he doesn't necessarily represent, you know, 2018's woke male. He represents a dysfunctional idiot who just wants to be a better person, you know, and so he's immature and he's impetuous and, you know, his goals are very short-sighted. He wants to save a kid, he doesn't want to save the planet, you know. So our budget is sort of conducive to that, you know, it makes it worthwhile for a studio to take a gamble on a rated R film like ours. You know, that granted has mass appeal, I think that's been proven, but they still don't shower us, they still don't say, hey, yeah, just go to town. I mean, this is not how Fox works ever. So a lot of stuff we have in the movie are favors, friends, calling friends, cameos in the movie, they're all favors, like us making calls, just saying, please, can you come play with us for a few minutes, you know, so.
Thank you. Siguiente pregunta, Cine NT y Torres.
Hola Ryan, en un mundo donde los superhéroes están haciendo
One second. Acoustic pacemaker here.
en un mundo donde los películas de superhéroes se parecen regir por reglas muy estrictas, ¿qué tan divertido es para ti jugar con ellas, romperlas y ser demasiado fiel a tu estilo para crear un producto diferente, pero a la vez que es fiel a todo el mundo de los cómics?
Okay, this is just playing Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. So maybe you could translate for me? I can't.
En un universo donde parece que las películas se rigen por reglas muy estrictas, ¿qué tan divertido es para él jugar con ellas, romperlas, para crear un superhéroe que es diferente y que tiene su propia personalidad?
Okay, when you do a movie, you have very strict rules
Yes.
to make it.
Yeah.
No? How do you break these rules and you find it fun to do it later?
So your question is that in Deadpool there are rules that are very specific.
In every movie, you have
Oh.
rules, specific rules
Yes.
to make a film.
Yeah.
But in Deadpool, if you break them,
Yes.
if you broke them, did you find it fun? Or what?
Oh, right, yeah, well, I mean, Deadpool's are, you know, it's a magical character. For me, it's a thrill of a lifetime, because you get to sort of break every rule that there is. I mean, you get to break the fourth wall, you address the audience directly, you get to do things in marketing that become an extension of your actual film, as opposed to just strategic, specific marketing stuff. You know, we get to shoot viral videos that are ridiculous, and we should all be arrested for. And you know, we get to do these things that, you know, most films don't get to do, and that's simply because you have a character who has a relationship with the audience. And so I love all that stuff. I love breaking those rules. I love that, you know, Deadpool will attack Ryan Reynolds just as quickly as he'll attack someone else, you know, so it makes it fun and unpredictable, and I think interesting, particularly in a world where, you know, a lot of the superheroes are virtuous to a certain degree, so it's fun, I think, to have a character that's slightly morally flexible.
Siguiente pregunta, Popcorn Show, Eric Gallardo.
Gracias, Luis. Por favor. Tengo dos preguntas. La primera es, ¿qué es lo que significa ser un héroe para Ryan Reynolds? Y la segunda es, si tuviera que darle un consejo a alguien que ha hecho películas de superhéroes y no ha podido lograr un éxito, ¿cuál es el consejo que le daría? Por la primera, ¿qué es ser un héroe?
For Ryan Reynolds, what does it mean to be a superhero?
For me, what does it mean to be a superhero? I think it means to be better, to try to be better than who you were yesterday. I don't think it means that you know, have to save Metropolis from an evil empire. I think, you know, I don't know, to me that's the sort of credo of Deadpool, is this guy is just trying to be a little bit better than he was yesterday, you know. And that's interesting to me, you know, we're all sort of flawed and trying to be better, and we're all very complex, and I don't know, so that's the superhero.
And the second was, what do you tell an actor that wants to be a superhero but hasn't got it yet?
Oh.
What do you recommend to him to get to be a superhero?
Oh, just wait, because everyone eventually plays one. So, yeah, just patience.
Okay. Siguiente pregunta, Empire, Alonso Noriega. Alonso?
Hello, Ryan.
Hi.
Hello, Ryan. What do you think that Ryan Reynolds has left to the Deadpool legacy, and backwards? What does Deadpool has left to your life?
Well, I mean, to give you a perfectly straight answer, Deadpool's been the great, probably one of the greatest privileges of my career. I mean, I've it's once in a while, I mean, in terms of what it's given to me, you know, once in a while we see that the long game can pay off, you know, and persistence can pay off. And I spent, you know, 10 years trying to get the movie made before they even considered the first one. And then, you know, then it's a crazy moment in your life when they basically say, you know, they spend 10 years sort of saying, I don't think we want to make this. And then they say, okay, you need to make a sequel now, and you have 8 months go. You know, so that's a strange position to be in. But for me, it's been a huge privilege. You know, I mean, the cornerstone of all of this is that the fans got this movie made, not me, not anybody else. I just waited around and hoped that something like that would happen. But you know, the studio gave us a tiny bit of money to make an experimental test footage, and that test footage, you know, accidentally leaked on the internet, and the internet spoke loudly and helped get this movie made. And so in a way, it's theirs. They're the authors of this journey that we're on, and it's kind of awesome. And it doesn't usually happen that way. And so I'm really grateful to everybody, every single person who made their voice for it to get this made. Yeah.
Siguiente pregunta, si me puedes clic. Nayeli Hernández. Nayeli.
Hello, Ryan, over here.
Hi. Sorry, I was distracted by his shirt. It's amazing. Sorry.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you? Is that heavy or is it okay?
It's really heavy. I'm shaking.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to know an easy one.
Okay.
What Deadpool thinks of Ryan Reynolds? And after that, can you invite your fans to watch Deadpool in Cinepolis Click?
Oh, yes. I would love anyone and everyone to come see Deadpool, especially Deadpool 2. What does Deadpool think of Ryan Reynolds? This is something we decided early on. We decided this back in the first movie, but you don't really see it come to fruition as much until this movie. But I kind of think it's funny, and I enjoy the fact that Deadpool sort of hates Ryan Reynolds. So I assume many of you here have seen Deadpool 2 now. You can see that that's pretty epic in the movie as well. But so I don't think Deadpool's the biggest Ryan Reynolds fan, which I think is sort of hilarious. Because most of what Deadpool's going through is sort of self-loathing anyway, and I think I'm kind of self-loathing, and I sort of filter my pain through a prisoner of humor, and so is Deadpool, so I don't know. I think we're too similar, so we just couldn't get along. Yeah.
Siguiente pregunta, Unicable, Cristina Pedraza.
Oh, hello.
Over here. Welcome to Mexico, and I have 2 questions. The first one is the female characters in the movie. They are very strong, they are in charge, they don't need to be saved by Deadpool. Sometimes they save Deadpool. So I want to know if this movie was inspired by the Me Too and Times Up movements. If not, do you think this movie can help those movements to go further on the silver screen? And the second one, do you like to see Blake Lively as a superhero in a movie? Which one will it be?
Oh, nice. I'll answer your second one first. Yes, I would love to see her as a super. She is a superhero. She does amazing things. She's such a big part of Deadpool too. You know, she's one of the many voices that helps author Deadpool. The first one was that yes, there's strong female characters in Deadpool, and there should be strong female characters in Deadpool. And I just sort of say, so what? Of course there are. It should be completely normalized. I don't think it needs to be something that we've pat ourselves on the back for, or you know, there's a gay couple in Deadpool too as well. Again, like big deal. It just should. That's life. These are representations of life, and I think that that's important. And, yeah, I don't know if what is happening in the movie is I don't think it's in reaction at all to Me Too or Time's Up. Those we'd already completed most of our filming by the time that sort of movement, and justly so, began in Hollywood and all over the world. So no, but I don't think it's a statement. I just think it should be normalized as much as possible. You know, I don't think it needs to be special or anything like that, or for me it should be just every superhero movie should have a nice mix of everybody. You should have a chance for everybody to have themselves represented on screen in a pretty awesome way. So yeah. That's okay.
No rush. Okay, I wanted to ask you being such a big actor,
What advice would you give to young people who want to be actors like you?
Gosh, I think to do it, for starters, like when you meet directors like Steven Spielberg, or you meet these amazing directors that have spent, like Martin Scorsese, they've always made movies. Like, even if it was at home on an 8mm camera, they've always made movies. And for people that want to be actors, do it. You just find ways to do it in your local community, your theater, all those things. And then once you get a piece of that, you really have to work hard. Luck will get you in the door sometimes, but luck will not sustain you. You have to work really hard, and you have to, be engaged, and you gotta be a nice person. I know that that's sort of overlooked by a lot of people, but it helps a shit ton if you're a nice person. I just really can't emphasize that enough, because you go through ups and downs and peaks and valleys, and if you leave a good impression, and if you walk away as a professional and people respect how you are on set, they help you back up if you need the help back up. So when I was younger, I told the story earlier, but when I was younger, I was working on a TV show called Two Guys That Go on a Pizza Place, and I had just come from Canada, and I was nervous and scared. I was in America, and it was a big cultural shock for me. I know it doesn't seem like much because Canada is close, but I mean, there's a significant cultural gap there. And I was a little nervous and scared, and I was doing this TV show, the sitcom, in front of a live audience, and the producer of that sitcom saw that I was sort of being apologetic, or like I wasn't really sort of hitting the gas like I should. I wanted the other actors to have this sort of stage. And he walked up and he said, "Take the stage. Just take the stage." And I didn't really know what he meant. He said, "Just own it. Get out there and own it." And I ended up, that was what changed my whole career, that one moment. And I went out there and I just owned it. I just took the stage, and I wasn't worried about overshadowing somebody else, or I wasn't worried about, because that's not what I was doing. I was just being the best I could be, and I took that advice with me through my whole, the next 23 years of this crazy journey. And that was the best advice I ever got, was just to take the stage, because I had a tendency to apologize for what I could do, and that's not what you should do.
Thank you.
Siguiente pregunta, CDC, Emanuel Romero. Emanuel.
Hi Ryan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Mexico.
Thank you.
Ryan, the master James Cameron said like 3 or 2 days ago, guys, it's okay, superhero movies, but we need to tell another kind of stories. What do you think about it?
I missed the beginning of that. What was that?
The master James Cameron said like 2 or 3 days ago.
James Cameron.
Yeah, James
Yes.
Cameron. Yeah. It's okay with superhero movies, but we need to tell another kind of stories. What do you think about it?
Well, I don't agree or disagree. I think James Cameron has proven himself to be one of the great filmmakers of several generations, and I think he has a right to sort of speak his mind, as much as anyone else has a right to sort of disagree. I don't know. I'm all for more stories, different types of stories. I don't know. It's I think he's probably right to some degree. And then also, I don't know. I mean, he's making 4 movies in a row of one character or one world, so I don't know. Maybe he wants more room for those characters. I'm not really sure. But James Cameron's a genius, so I would tend. My instinct would be to listen to what he has to say and respect it. But that's not something I have a fully formed opinion on. I think, for sure, we should always have more stories, different kinds of stories.
Siguiente pregunta, Caras, Alejandra Morón. ¿Vale?
Hola, Ryan. Mi pregunta es...
Pégate el micrófono.
¿Cómo combinas tu vida personal con tu vida familiar y tu vida laboral?
How do you combine...
This works now. Yes. Although that was enjoyable. How do I combine my personal life with my work life? Well, I don't know. We travel together as a family. We stay together as a family. My kids are 3 and 1, so they're right at the age where they start. School's right around the corner. So at some point, we're going to have to make some hard decisions and stay home. To give them some stability. We just all travel together. So far it's worked out really well. My kids have been able to see parts of the world. They've seen more of the world in their short lifespan already than I had ever seen until I was 25, 26. So it's kind of fun.
What are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of?
Ryan? Yeah.
Oh wow. What am I afraid of? Gosh, I don't know. Yeah. Certainly afraid of spiders. I mean, that's one thing. Anybody here likes spiders? Yeah, I'm afraid of sleeping outside in the dark in Australia. That's a pretty common fear. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's about it that I'll say publicly. Yeah, the rest is, yeah.
Okay. Siguiente pregunta. Cine Swag, Nancy Casillas.
Hi, Ryan.
Nancy,
Here.
¿te puedes parar?
Oh, hi.
Hi, the television.
Oh my gosh, hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Welcome to Mexico.
Thank you.
I have two questions for you.
Sure.
First one, to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Chimichangas or tacos de canasta?
Chimichangas, go on.
Really? What's your favorite flavor?
My favorite flavor?
Of chimichanga.
Oh, of chimichanga. Oh gosh, I'll pretty much take any chimichanga anyway. Not
Why?
super spicy though.
What
That kind of crushes me. So yeah. I don't know. My kids are like quesadilla crazy. So they like. I lately have been eating a lot of quesadillas. I try to snatch the food right out of my children's mouth. That's what I'm trying to say.
And the second one, how do you feel about being a superhero out of the film, out of the stage, with the kids, with the people,
Yeah.
when the people come and scream with you? How do you feel about it?
Well, I get to play a superhero in a mask. So for the most part, it's kind of like a win-win. You know, a lot of times, when I'm not in the mask in the movie, I'm wearing like hideous scar makeup and burn makeup. So it's sort of amazing. I'm not really me in the movie. I'm this other guy, and I'm just the visuals of it alone are just, it's always the guy in the red mask or the guy with the burn makeup. So although my kids just sob when I'm in the burn makeup, when I'm in the scar makeup, they just cry constantly. So they don't come to work when I have to dress like that. So, yeah.
Siguiente pregunta, Milenio, Eduardo Gutiérrez. Eduardo.
Hello, how are you?
Espérate,
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, lubricated.
Well, I would like to raise two questions. The first one is, as your character is going to be in Deadpool 3 and also in X-Force, if you can choose, how do you want that he evolves in these two films? And also, how do you feel with the opportunity to create laugh of yourself? I mean, with what happened at the end of the film, you know, you're laughing at yourself. How do you feel with that opportunity? And also with all the references that you did inside of the film.
Yeah. First of all, there's no Deadpool 3. I don't know that there will be a Deadpool 3, just simply by virtue of the fact that to make Deadpool work as his own movie, you have to take everything away from that character. And I feel like we were able to do it in the first one, we were definitely able to do it in the second one, but to do it again in the third one would just sort of feel cruel. So I feel like to go on, we're going to be in the X-Force world, which Drew Goddard has one of the most amazing takes on that world that I've ever heard, that again, like, bends this whole genre into a different direction, which I'm excited about. And then after that, I don't know. I mean, you know, we'll see. I might be singing Disney tunes or something in a Deadpool movie. It might be PG-13. It might be, you know, so I get, you know, 2 shits, 1 fuck, and a glass of white wine. So it could be tough. But and then you had one other question about something that I thought was interesting. So laughing at myself, is that what you said? Yeah, I guess I'm laughing at myself, sort of in a really sick way at the end of the movie. But no, I think it's fun. I don't know. I think it's sort of, you know, outrageous. It's sort of silly and absurd, and you know. So that's kind of what Deadpool represents in those ones, and particularly an after-credits sequence. Those are as absurd as you want them to be, and they should be absurd, and they should just bear no sort of semblance of reality whatsoever. So I don't know. I just thought that was fun. It was something I wanted to do. It was my hand that went up to say, let's shoot this, and it's a lot of fun. I watched it with an audience, and it was like a crazy standing ovation, which I didn't really know how to feel about. It was created a slight inner conflict for me, but it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Siguiente pregunta, Lucero Calderón, del Excelsior.
Hello.
Yeah. 2 questions. I want to know
know what did you experience the first time that you see yourself with this costume, with Deadpool costume?
Yeah.
And the second one, tell me about the Mexican references, because you are talking in the movie in different situations about Mexicans. The bad guy, Mexican with mustache, and I want to know about the phrase that you use, where ¿Dónde está la biblioteca in Spanish?
Yes,
What is it?
library.
That phrase. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, I'm trying to think of the reference in the movie about the mustache. I don't know what that one is.
A bad guy.
No te oyes, Lucero. Te paras, por favor, y no oímos nada. ¿Le pueden dar un micrófono a Lucero, por favor?
No, it's about
I don't know what that
No lo oímos.
Could you please tell me about the Mexican references in your movie?
Yeah, no, Deadpool in the comics is very closely associated with Mexico and Mexican culture. He loves Mexican culture. He loves Mexican food. You know, the Donde está la biblioteca moment is really just to illustrate what an idiot Deadpool is, because what he thinks he's saying is, I don't bargain, pumpkin fucker. But what he's actually saying is, where's the library, as you can imagine, me sitting here. And then the other thing, I don't know what that, I can't imagine we'd ever have a reference in the movie about bad guys and Mexican mustaches. Oh, yeah. No, because we love Mexico. Even if we get the saying. Oh, it wasn't in a bad way. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's we just sort of love that. That was actually a piece that was in Deadpool 1 that we never used, and we wanted to put it in. So just the fact that Deadpool, took 8th grade Spanish and therefore thinks he's an expert on both Mexican culture and Spanish. So. Yeah.
What did you feel the first time that you used the costume?
Oh, the first time I saw the costume, it was traumatizing. I just thought, this is ridiculous, and I don't know how to do this, and I should quit. Because I really did. I remember going home to my wife and just saying, like, I'm wearing a gigantic red body condom for the whole movie. How am I supposed to do this without just coming off like a complete idiot? And she sort of said, you just gotta own it. You just gotta own it, you gotta make it work. So I did this thing where I spent a few days with a camera crew, or a tiny camera crew up in Vancouver, and I just said the lines as crazily and wildly as I could. And somehow this sort of character pushes through the mask. And then once I saw that footage back, I thought, okay, I can do this. This is how this will work, And then we met with Weta, who's a company that animates the mask, just ever so slightly, and that's also been a sort of secret weapon for us as well. But really, like, it pushes through the mask. You can push through the mask. I just have to be bigger when I'm under the mask. So, yeah. So it ended up being great, but at first it was just trouble.
Siguiente
I'm
pregunta.
going to give you a chance to be self-deprecating for a little bit. What jokes that Deadpool hasn't made about Ryan Reynolds do you see him doing? Jokes about any other point in your career other than Green Lantern?
Oh boy. There's a whole lot of runway left there. So, yeah, God, I can feel my own organs crawling back into my body. There's a lot of other stuff. We have some marketing material that is yet to be released. It's going to be pretty fun. I'll just say that. We'll cover a little bit more of that. But Ryan Reynolds is probably the greatest target Deadpool could ever have. Partly because he can take it, and partly because he deserves it. But also, it's just so weird and meta and so much fun for me. I don't know. I just think, I don't know. That's always been my strength in my career, in my life, is just being able to kind of take the piss out of myself, which is a weird way to kind of use people's energy against them, like judo. So, I don't know. You can laugh at yourself, no one can hurt you. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Siguiente pregunta, código Nicolás Ruiz. Nicolás?
Hi. Do you hear me?
Yeah. Oh yes.
So when do you ever miss like this handsome avocado face and that sexy ass red suit when you leave Deadpool behind and you become like just Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, I don't miss I don't miss this. The suit is not like, it doesn't feel like I'm wearing a lazy boy sofa or anything, but it's a privilege to wear it. But no, I don't miss it so much because Deadpool sort of is like a year-round job. It doesn't sort of stop. And, you know, when we finished Deadpool 1, we were right into Deadpool 2. So I don't really even get to make other films. You know, I haven't really made another film in a long time, so it's unless it's like a short thing I can kind of get in and out on. So yeah, I miss it. You know, I miss that freedom. You know, when I put that suit on, I kind of become a different person and just sort of, I don't know, I feel really free in it. So it's strange, but yeah, it's also nice to take it off and give it a break.
And one other thing, just about like, have you ever taken it like out for, I don't know, a gala or picking up your kids or I don't know, doing a festival in Mexico on the street tacos?
Yeah, I should. I've done some trick-or-treating with it. I do have one at home that I stole, which I have no problem admitting to, because like I waited 10 years to do the movie. If you want the suit back, come and fucking take it. You know, no, I did some trick-or-treating with it, but otherwise, no, it's not easy to get on, you know, it's like 25 minutes, 30 minutes just to get that sucker on, and then, you know, and then you're just overheating the whole time, so, and I can't actually get the mask off without help. So, my worst fear, I have two terrible fears about the mask. One is throwing up inside the mask, and the other one is just somehow, like, being left to die in the mask. Like, the guy that comes to help me, Art, his name is Art, to take the mask off just somehow disappears at the end of the day, and I'm left to die in the mask. That's my other fear. It's just, because I can just see the coroner at the hospital just going, Deadpool. They should have made a fucking Velcro mask. Why did they zip this? I don't get it. Yeah.
Siguiente pregunta, clásico de MX, Mirna Calzada.
Hi Ryan, hi, Mirna Calzada. I have a question. Like you see all the teenagers, ever since they were little kids, they figure like superheroes are role models. And most of them grow up to be like the role models when they feel like a little outcast, or they feel like a little misfit between like what would be like the bunch. Now there's a lot of gun violence, and there's a lot of violence between teenagers because they feel outcast. Teen may turn out to be the perfect way to prove out and shoot everyone because they're just angry. And I think there would be like a very interesting thing for them to know that superheroes get to be a metaphor, and guns or violence are also a metaphor of other kinds of superpowers. So what would be your message for these kids and for kids all over the world would be?
I think, you know, like I sort of have always thought, like the filming and the movie stuff aside, I think that, you know, there's great value in dialogue, and I think that like we don't teach kids how to speak to one another. You know, I think they don't teach empathy in school, and I really do believe that if they taught empathy in school at a young age, it would change the world. I think young kids don't understand the concept of it, and why would they if they're not taught it or if it's not emphasized in schools or anywhere else? You know, I really do think that one word, empathy, is like, it would unlock so much on this planet. And so yeah, I think you know, changing the way we teach kids is one thing that I think would be really beneficial, and also just allowing kids to be different and allowing kids to feel things that they, you know, we're still catching up to our, you know, to our most idealistic versions of ourselves, and it takes a long time. It takes a generation to just sort of move that needle a little bit. So, you know, I don't know. I meet lots of kids, and I get to talk to lots of kids, and I see how they don't really feel seen. And that's sort of, so for me, I think it's empathy. You know, I would love to. There's something in New York called the Empathy Project, which I really think is amazing, and it's a group of artists together that are sort of, you know, forwarding that message and that idea through schooling and through short films and all that kind of stuff. And, I'd love to see that become something more mainstream.
What do you feel about gun control?
About gun control? I mean, I grew up in Canada, so like the fact that you can go into a store and buy a gun to me is just as alien as, you know, just being able to just also go to Walmart and purchase a UFO. I don't, you know, I don't know. That just seems kind of insane to me. So yeah, I mean, I don't make any bones qualms about that. I'm happy to see some more gun control in place, certainly in the United States. You know. But where I grew up, there was guns were used for hunting, and I think that's largely it. There really aren't, there isn't really access.
Siguiente pregunta, Dix Gabriela Nava.